Good morning. So we waited 5 minutes. I think like everyone that wants to come is already here. Thank you for attending my talk titled Elevate Your Expertise, the Power Tools and Smart Processes of a Modern Drupal Agency. Thank you for that. So this is a sponsored talk. So I decided to talk about something that's not so technical. It's more about like agency work and processes and like how we at 1X do this. And the talk is going to be in English. We can later in discussion we can also talk in Spanish if you like. But this is just easier like this for me. All right. So agenda. I'm going to briefly introduce our company. We are the ones in red, as you can see. Then what's the challenge and an approach to solve it. And then we're just going to talk a little bit about processes, tools, examples. I think I skipped that one, but let's see. And Q&A discussion afterwards. All right. About 1X, like I said, it's a sponsored talk, so I'm just going to brag a little bit about us. So we're celebrating 10 years this year, founded in 2013 officially. We have offices in 3 countries, Spain, here in Conil, and Frankfurt in Germany, like both like Frankfurt and Berlin, and then in Reykjavik in Iceland. Like I said, like here we're in Andalusia, in the Sevilla area, and but like all the way to the coast. This is like where the people from here live. We just mostly serve like industry clients, mostly from the German-speaking regions of Europe. Some NGOs, some governmental clients as well, but like mostly industry. We focus on solutions and pre-configured products around Drupal, but also React, and in general, like the stack is like from PHP over to JavaScript, React, and even React Native. We are pretty involved in the Drupal community. Like or my partner, like the CEO of the company, she's the chair of the DA. We're involved in the local communities as well. Frankfurt in Germany, here, on the cons, everywhere, organizing and sponsoring. Like here, Lara was like organizing here this camp, and Seva, who's not here. And then I will just leave you with a little video. I don't know if this will work and if the sound is going to be there, if it even loads. And maybe YouTube is cut off here. There's probably no sound. All right. Sorry. Yes. Okay. Okay, so the challenge. You know, in a small organization, you know, let's say like a Drupal shop, like, I don't know, 10, 15 people, you know, you can freestyle a lot of stuff. You know, you just like, you take the problems as they come. You know, like you have a new project, you just like staff your team, like everybody knows everyone, you know, like they all work together. If you need like an expert here, you have it there, and then, you know, then you just like go and like you write your bill, like, you know, somehow, or your like invoices, you know, and you just put them in some folder and stuff like this. It's no problem, you know, like you just focus on the core, which is like sort of like the project, the product, you know, and the context. Like everything else, you know, HR and finance and whatnot, that is like just small. You just do it like on the go, right? Exactly. So everyone has direct and immediate access to everyone else. You know, like everyone's kind of sitting in the same room or just pretty close. You know, everyone knows each other, and like access to information is just immediate. The administration and organizational overhead is really small. You know, like there's not a lot of stuff there. And everyone can just also work with the tools they are used to and that they prefer. You know, there's freedom of do whatever you want. There's no need like for like refined processes. You know, it's not urgent. You know, like it works. And there's no hierarchy, right? You don't need it. You know, like as I said, like we just like everybody knows each other. And like everyone knows like what to do and what their place in the for the success of the project is. Then suddenly you start like growing, you know, like it's more people, you know, like you see like it starts slow here, you have like, you know, like handful, and then like suddenly like you just get like, and then like what happens, like, you know, like this doesn't work anymore. You just hit like a ceiling. Right? So like the context part, you know, what before was just like really negligible, you could just do it on the site, becomes like bigger. You know, you can't like ignore it anymore. And like it happens that you then are sort of unable to focus on the core, what you actually want to do. You know, we want to do cool projects, we want to create software. And suddenly we have to deal with like a lot of stuff that is like not that. So it becomes like inefficient, administration becomes inefficient, right? The knowledge is suddenly not shared anymore because you have now many projects, many teams, you know, like, and every team is like sort of like battling their own battle, and you can't really sort of like, there's not like this space where everyone is like knows about everything all the time. The context work takes more and more time from the people that do them, you know. If I was like in charge of like invoices, suddenly I'm just writing invoices the whole day, you know, and that like, of course, like keeps me from doing what I want to do. I want to do like cool projects. And people, exactly, so people don't have like these like regular touch points anymore, these automatic ones, because like they're just all kind of working on the same things, you know, they're just working now on different things, you know, like there's like the team that like serves one client, there's another team that serves like a completely different client, they do like a project of a different nature, you know, like suddenly they don't have anything in common anymore, like, you know. So in that sense, there's a loss of control. You can't be everywhere, right? And that's like, and that's the challenge that you have to overcome. Like once like the group is like bigger than like, let's say like, I don't know, 15, maybe 20 people. So and how do we do this? Like how did we solve this, or how do we try to solve this? Because like we want to, while growing, we want to keep a few things, you know. So we want to keep like this strong team that we always had, and that still feels like one team, right? That's not like then like there's this team and that team, and like, you know, they're just like in a different world. You want to stay lean, you know. You want to just like keep your core business big. You want to do projects, right? And you want to have like the context small. You know, you don't want to spend like more time than necessary on the things that are not like really like what you love doing. You want to be able to share the knowledge, you know, between your teams, between the people, and you want people to also explore new roles in the company. And probably you want to keep flat hierarchies, right? So you could now say like, okay, it's no problem. We just like implement some management levels, and like, you know, we just build like this classical pyramid that you see like in big corporations, but that like takes away a lot of like the other things, you know. Then like suddenly you just become a corporation and like not like a nice you know, group of people working on good projects. So what we then do, we just make everything a project, right? We become our own client. And so of course, like the ones that we already know, the customer projects, we know how to staff them, we know how to execute them, we know like how they become successful, right? And that's why we do then the same with the internal projects. And these are just examples that we run in the same way that we run customer projects, right? We have like sales, HR, the project management office, you know, like the group of like the project managers, our internal tools, our DevOps team. We have an academy, you know, back to the point where we said like we want to spread like knowledge. Support teams, marketing, and much more, or many more. So we can visualize this somehow like this, you know? Instead of building a pyramid, we just like have a lot of like bubbles of different project teams, right? And you can see it here, for example, you know, like these are like the client projects, but then in between there are like these other ones that like work in the same way. And by working in the same way, I mean that we actually structure them the same. So we're just going to get to that in a second. So for example, if we think about like, let's say sales, of course, like this team also needs to have like a, you know, like needs to have a deliverable, right? So, but you can always like make it like work, because you can say like, okay, sales delivers new projects, new clients, or like projects on existing clients. You know, that's their goal. That's like sort of like their sprint goal, project goal, right? So they have like something to work on. And HR like makes sure that people and culture are fine. You know, like that's like their like, you know, main goal, and so forth. And like, let's say, for example, like a group, like for example, the project management office, that like where you could say like, okay, what do? They just like, they are in charge of like defining the processes and document them like for project management work. So like all project managers can, you know, rely on the same documentation and processes. So when we pitch our projects, right, then this is how we sort of sell the team like to the client, right? So put client name here. It's just for an example, because like we can focus more on this part. So like if we do a project, you know, we have like two kind of groups of people like that have like that like overlap though. And I don't know if you can read it, but I'll do it for you. So on the 1X side, you know, we have always like sort of like, we have like this steering committee, which is like sort of, and the delivery team, right? So the delivery team is in charge of delivering solution project, right? And the steering committee is like the one that like they account to, right? So like meet like regularly and say like, okay, this is the progress, and then like maybe there's a change or whatever. And the same works internally, right? So we have like, and like for the roles in the project, right? We have an account manager. You could like, for an internal project, you could like say like it's a project sponsor, or like, or it's like the project owner in that sense, right? And then it moves over to the delivery team. Like you always have a project manager, right? So there's no reason not to have a project manager in sales. So if you run it as a project, you need someone to just like sort of organize the work, right? And so we have a project manager. We might have a solution architect. I don't know if we're building internal tools. Yeah, why not? You know, we will have marketing, online marketing, of course, like if needed. You know, like you draw like these resources in if you need them for the goal that you're trying to solve. Design or creative director. Let's say like it's the marketing team. Of course, they need design, right? And then you have like the, you know, in a classical software project, you would have some DevOps, some front end, some back end, and you just have those or not, you know. But you have like different roles in your project that deliver, and then like the roles that sort of do the steering and make sure that like controlling and everything else in the project is also been accounted for. So processes. Oh, sorry. Just a second. Sorry. Okay, if you want to work like this, you will need that every project works the same way, right? So you figured out a good way to deliver a software project, then you can, and it works for your company, you know, it works from the structure, then you can use that for other purposes as well, other kinds of projects, right? So same structure, or at least like same way of structuring, right? Same tooling, of course, because like if I'm, let's say, in the sales team and also like in the client team, then I don't want to learn a new tool. I just want to keep using what I'm using anyways. Then the same processes, let's say like if you're using like Scrum or Kanban or something in between, or your own like flavor of agile development, just use the same thing, you know? Like we're all like, if you have the same, let's say, columns on your board, you know, then you know what to do with an issue when you get it. And then, of course, specifically for all software projects, because those are, you know, like also like what I called like core before, right? There you just need like standards, best practices, knowledge resources, reusable code, starter kits, right? So you're not starting from scratch every time. Some of these also apply though to the projects that are not software. Okay, so tools. Wait, maybe just briefly back here. If I forgot something here. Yeah, exactly. So I want to add a little bit more here, because like it's not about like what your process exactly is. It's just like the process that works for you. It's like the idea is more like to say like, okay, if this process works for like software development, why should it not work like for sales or marketing, right? And that way you can just like keep your organization like free from like the hierarchies, because like you just like there's like teams and people can fulfill different roles or the same roles in different teams, right? And like a team is always like an organizational piece that like works by itself, right? So you don't need like someone on top of it, right? Exactly, and then every task like becomes like, you know, becomes like an issue on a board, right? So if like, for example, we need to organize that we're going like to, let's say, DrupalCon Lille now, right? Then there is like on the marketing board, there's issues for that, right? Like someone needs to print a flyer, someone needs to do a design. So it's just all issues that go in. You know, they do their like, you know, their sprint cycles, You know, they meet, they do dailies, stand-ups. They say like, okay, what are you working on? And then they just like, I don't know, they say like, okay, we need a design resource. And then like someone joins the team from the design, from the designers, right? And like knows exactly how it works. You know, like they get the same type of issues that they would get like in a client project, right? They know like if the issue is on me and it's in to do, right? If it's out of the backlog, I'm supposed to like, you know, like work on it. And then if I'm done, I put it onto resolved and I pass it on to whoever like gave me the issue initially, right? And so you just don't have to even think about like how to organize your work, because like it's the same for everyone, everywhere. Yeah, exactly. So just side note, like we think like the project manager has like a real key role in every team, right? Because like the project manager is kind of like the person that brings like everything together and that like makes sure that like sort of like things happen, that they happen in time, that they're just like finished when people say they're finished, and they'll deliver them to the stakeholders. Yep. So tools. So we try to use as little tools as possible, and then rather streamline around them. So of course, as a software company, we need like source of and version control system, obviously. You need project management tools, right? Like for issues, for organizing the work, boards and stuff like this. You need tools for communication. You need a place to document things. You need like some controlling, time tracking, you know, that kind of stuff. And resource planning. Because like, of course, like, you know, have like many people that like take roles in different projects, and you need to plan this in a way that like, you know, doesn't get messy. It's harder than you might think, or maybe you know it's hard. So I'll just like name like the three major ones that we use. And again, like, so I'm going to give a little bit of context, like why we use them and what for. So we use GitLab, and we just have a self-hosted version of it, free version, right? So if you know GitLab, then you will know that like if you just like book an enterprise version, you have more options, more possibilities. You know, it like has like a little bit more features and nice things. But again, I said before, you know, like you can also streamline your process around what you have, right? And so like the free version, you know, has its limitations, but like if your process like evolves up around like what's there and what's possible, that's completely fine. You know, you can add like a little bit, like it can also happen like now we could say like, oh, let's use Jira instead because like it offers way more functionality, but you know, that's just the tool. You know, if your process is not good, then Jira is going to be messy. You know, like probably some of you know that like Jira has like millions of possibilities, and like it can just like be overwhelming, and like if you don't organize this well, it's like as bad as everything else, you know? So, and GitLab has like, GitLab is a completely remote company that organizes their work in GitLab. So, perfect, right? So, they do software, they have their whole like CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment system within GitLab itself. They have all the project management tools within GitLab. It's close to, if we're talking software projects, like, you know, like everything is like around the code, close to the code. You know, you always know sort of like what issue like produced what code. And it like comes like also with documentation, wiki on every project. And so therefore, like this is like our tool. Like if it's down, then we're just kind of in trouble. And then, of course, like we have some tools, some self-built ones, you know, Drupal developers, we know how to do that. So time tracking and controlling is one of them. Because like, of course, like we need to be able to charge our clients for the work we do. So therefore, like we need like to track the times, and also because the law actually says you have to do it. And like what we have there is like we have it like heavily integrated, like with, for example, GitLab, right? So you can, what we can do, you can just like on an issue, you can like do /spent in a comment and say 30 minutes, and then it will just like register it here. If you're like registering your time here, it knows like every single issue like from GitLab. And not only that, because like then suddenly you have clients also that like come around the corner and say, no, but you have to use Jira, or you have to use like Azure. And that's like, you know, then you're out of your comfort zone, like, you know, because like it's, so we try to integrate them as well. Like whenever we can, you know, we just write an integration. And so like we basically here, we can just find all issues, be it in the Jiras of the clients or in the Azures of the clients, like they're all there. And then what we have as well is like an intranet. And that's a really important tool because like that's basically like the central knowledge base where we keep all the stuff. We have best practices there. We have like all the, you know, the process descriptions, how to work with things, right? Yeah. And then we use Slack for ad hoc communication. And again, not because we're cheap, but because we see it as a feature. We don't use like the paid version, we use the free version because it forgets. It forgets what you wrote, and that's a feature because like it's not a documentation tool, right? What's being talked there in Slack is meant to be ad hoc. You know, you're not planning there. You're not documenting there. So it's completely fine if this like disappears after like, I don't know what, 90 days or whatever, right? Because like if there's something to plan it. If there's something to document it, you know, but don't use this tool for it. And then like, of course, like there's tools we don't use, like email, you know. So none of our developers will ever like, you know, rely on their emails. Like most of them don't even like have their email client open. You know, they just don't need it. Because like we just like, we talk in issues, we talk in Slack, right? And emails just create like these threads like that become like unfollowable. Yep. And of course we have more tools, you know, like we use like, for example, there's like for specific project things then, right? So like we have like a good planning tool called Float, like for like your resource planning and things like that, but they are just like, you know, point to point, like where you need them, and specific like to the teams that use them. But like everyone else, like everyone uses definitely these for like their main, so communication and planning. Yeah, and that's already kind of it. I know I'm a bit short on time, but like maybe we can like have a bit of a discussion then. So I'm Stefan. I'm one of the partners at 1X, and yeah, we have some space for discussion. Are there any questions? Is it crystal clear? Yes, go ahead.
¿En español?
Sí, sí, como quiera.
Muy bien. Has comentado que en vuestro caso teníais 4 ubicaciones. Entonces también hay un tema que es el idioma, que entiendo que las 4 ubicaciones tienen que tener un mismo idioma para entenderse. Y luego cuando hablabas del equipo, que tenías diferentes perfiles, entiendo que es más para desarrollos de nuevos proyectos, pero el desarrollo de evolutivos o esos clientes que van haciendo pocos evolutivos, ¿cómo lo gestionáis?
Can I answer in Spanish? Okay. ¿Cuál era la primera parte?
El idioma
El idioma, sí. Bueno, el idioma es el broken English, porque todos, o sea, la mayoría, la gran mayoría, somos ajenos no somos nativos en inglés y por eso la comunicación es en inglés. O sea, esa es nuestra company language, ¿cierto? Y incluso tenemos, por ejemplo, a Sofía acá, que ella es nativa y donde el que quiera puede tomar ahí clases de reforzamiento y mejorar su calidad del inglés. Y nos ha funcionado bastante bien y digo que incluso gente que llega con un inglés un poco más débil, muchas veces es una cosa de práctica. O sea, no es tanto la calidad del inglés, es que uno se atreva, que hable, que sepa, bueno, obviamente tienes que saber ¿cómo se dice? Las palabras especializadas de lo que estás trabajando, pero al final no nos ha impedido a hacer nada. Y después, a tu segunda pregunta, bueno, claro, siempre lo mejor es tener un grupo nuevo, un equipo nuevo, un team nuevo, pero los clientes obviamente se quieren quedar y quieren que hagamos más para ellos. Y ahí un poco tenemos digamos, si es un cliente donde trabajamos continuamente, entonces ahí, bueno, el equipo, el team va creciendo o disminuyendo un poco dependiendo de cuánto trabajo haya para ese cliente. Y obviamente o sea, tenemos bastantes clientes más antiguos, más pequeños, con menos budget y cosas así, que no hacemos tanto trabajo, viene más ad hoc de repente, ¿cierto? Unos updates o qué sé yo. Y ahí tenemos un equipo que es el equipo support y ellos básicamente sirven a varios clientes como un equipo.
¿Tenéis un poquito diferenciado el equipo de nuevos proyectos y
No.
el equipo de... O sea,
No.
los vais a mezclar?
Sí. Esa es una cosa y lo otro es que tampoco, o sea, no tenemos el equipo de Frankfurt y el equipo de España y el equipo de Islandia. O sea, nosotros, un equipo es un grupo que trabaja en un tema concreto, ¿cierto? Y esa es la idea también de tenerlo todo más o menos estandarizado, porque básicamente yo le puedo dar la oportunidad a Jesús, que está trabajando por ejemplo, que él se una a otro equipo de otro cliente o de un tool interno y no tenga que acostumbrarse a algo nuevo, básicamente sabe cómo trabajamos y es fácil para él cambiarse. Y eso también lo hacemos activamente para que haya, ¿cómo se dice? La rotación y la gente también tenga la oportunidad de trabajar con otros compañeros que no han trabajado y conocer. Ya. ¿Respondió? ¿Alguien más? ¿Sí?
A ver si soy capaz de poner en pie. Yo trabajo en una compañía más grande, pero conforme ha ido creciendo no tiene esa cultura de compartir conocimiento entre equipos. Por ejemplo, esta compañía no solo hace Drupal, hace proyectos de otros muchas tecnologías, pero entre los equipos que hacen Drupal hay muy poca comunicación porque están muy separados por tiempo, recursos, etc. Esa cultura de compartir conocimiento, de tener unos estándares y tal, desaparece. No sé cómo generasteis esta base, ¿no? Esas herramientas comunes, o qué tiempo dedicáis a mantener esa comunicación, ¿no? Esos estándares, esas herramientas, esa academy que comentaba. ¿Cómo ha sido vuestra experiencia?
Bastante tiempo hay que dedicarle para que sirva el propósito que seguir. Aquí hay varios que también han aportado a la academia, que básicamente funciona del mismo sistema. O sea, hay un equipo que se preocupan de la academia y básicamente lo que ellos hacen son, por ejemplo, hacen unos tracks de, por ejemplo, Drupal Site Building, ¿cierto? Y lo bueno es que esos tracks también funcionan en GitLab, son con issue templates, así que básicamente tú partes tu track, tienes tus 20 issues y los vas trabajando así como en cualquier otro proyecto. Bueno, eso es uno. Lo otro es que tenemos tenemos un team que se llama Backend Support y tenemos un team que se llama Frontend Support y ahí están como metidos los desarrolladores más senior de todos los proyectos y básicamente ellos son los que deciden, o no deciden, pero hacen las buenas prácticas, las best practices, las documentan en la intranet y cosas así. Y por ejemplo, digamos el grupo PMO, que es el equipo de Project Management, ellos también en la intranet se juntan regular, ¿cierto? Y van haciendo, dicen, ya bueno, esto no, como que no está, a mí no me está funcionando muy bien esto en mi proyecto, ¿qué experiencia tienen ustedes? Ya, hagámoslo así en futuro, hagamos una best practice y cada uno se lo lleva a sus equipos y lo va difundiendo.
Que siempre se dedica para cierto tiempo a un refinamiento, ¿no?, de estos procesos.
Claro, sí. O sea, eso tiene que ser continuo y básicamente tiene que ser, ¿cómo se dice? Fed by, reality, porque yo creo que eso hay que iterar, siempre iterar.
Sí, que lo que funciona hoy puede no funcionar mañana o en un proyecto.
Sí. Y lo que nos ha, en realidad lo que hemos visto también, o sea, es preferente tener un proceso incompleto y no perfecto a no tenerlo. Porque si tienes algo, puedes iterar en eso y mejorarlo. Si no tienes nada, difícil.
¿Tenéis alguna distribución de tiempo, digamos, que pongáis, digamos, trabajáis 4 días a la semana, por ejemplo, para los proyectos y hay un día en el que os reunís y, digamos, mejoráis estas prácticas cada uno?
No, porque básicamente o sea, no funciona tanto así. Es básicamente que, por ejemplo, digamos que está el equipo el equipo de la academia, ¿ya? Y ellos básicamente tienen necesidades, tienen un goal y tienen necesidades. El goal es básicamente sacar track, digamos, de nivel básico de Drupal, de frontend, o sea, digamos 3 tracks. Y eso es lo que básicamente ellos quieren hacer, ¿cierto? Y entonces, básicamente lo que hacen es decir, bueno, necesito tiempo de alguien que haga el track ese, ¿cierto? Entonces, una vez a la semana hay un planning entre todos los project managers, todos los stakeholders, que es básicamente el resource planning, donde básicamente los recursos se reparten. Claro, y básicamente, tú como project manager dices, yo tengo que solucionar este problema, así que la persona indicada creo que sería Leandro, ¿cierto? Entonces tú vas ahí al float antes del jueves, donde el planning sucede, y tú dices, necesito 3 días de Leandro, y bien. Y lo único que se pide es que si quieres 3 días de Leandro, que hayan 3 días de trabajo ahí planificados. Porque si el trabajo no está planificado, entonces, ¿cierto? Leandro va a llegar el martes ahí, ¿y ahora qué hago? Y ya, así que esa es la condición. Y obviamente, ahí en ese planning general hay prioridades. Tú dices, ya bueno, academia bien, pero aquí se está quemando algo y eso hay que tratarlo antes, así que academia va a tener que esperar un poco. Y así funciona, pero básicamente es como, ahí tienes que hacer compromisos hasta que salga algo bueno. Generalmente no es tan...
Pero ¿y la comunicación que ocurre entre equipos, para mantener la comunicación entre los equipos, digamos, marcáis, digamos, siempre, me imagino que regularmente, ¿no? Digamos, una cantidad de tiempo, no sé, que hay una hora a la semana o algo así para...
Bueno, o sea, lo que hacemos son unos trainings generales técnicos, una vez a la semana, cuando hay alguien que lo quiera hacer, y obviamente ahí también tú recibes tiempo para preparar eso y cosas, pero lo otro es más por rotación, o sea, no hay un meeting fijo donde intercambiamos ideas en ese sentido, es por rotación en equipos, es por documentación, es por esos grupos de soporte donde están los senior, donde la gente va y dice, mira, estoy tratando de solucionar este problema, alguien tiene una idea de cuál sería un buen camino para llegar a eso. Dime.
Una pregunta es bastante parecida a la de Nico y o sea, va por el mismo sitio. ¿Tenéis algún porcentaje fijo, más o menos, de proyectos, o sea, de horas que se invierten a proyectos internos o proyectos que no vienen con un budget del cliente directamente?
No. O sea, no está fijado, pero es básicamente durante el año siempre hay así como olas de, digamos, olas de estrés en lo que son los proyectos de clientes y cuando hay un poco de huequito hacemos las otras cosas, ¿cierto? Es siempre una cosa de prioridades. Al final algo interno puede tener más prioridad que los clientes porque te resuelve un problema a largo plazo y hay que darle una prioridad más alta. Pero, o sea, no lo tenemos cuantificado, decimos, no es que digamos 20% de esto, 80% de esto, es básicamente como sentimos que hace, ¿cómo se dice? It makes sense. Ok. Entonces me queda solo decir join talks, networking workshops y gracias a los auspiciadores y que tengan un buen resto del día y unas buenas charlas. Gracias.